So, good afternoon, everybody. Aloha. My name is Shivambi. So good to see you all. Thank you for being here. And so today I'm going to share with you all a presentation on Tensor Technology, what it is, how it works, some of the different devices, and how we can use it in our life. And then also I'm going to give you guys a list of everything that you need to take a picture of and go home and start creating yourself if you'd like to.
Yes.
Which is really what this is about, is creating that web where one person receives the wisdom, they integrate it, embody it, and then they can share that with others, and it creates this massive tree effect or trickle down effect where instead of one person's creating this technology and doing a small impact, multiple people start doing it, and then you guys can eventually teach others and just continuously spread out. So if you'd like, you can go to the next one. Yeah. So what is Tensor Technology? Tensor Technology was rediscovered by a geopathic dowser, Slim Sperling, in the early 90s. You first notice effects when his electric bill lowered when placing a tensor ring around the electrical box. This sparked a journey to discover what was happening with and to the ring to create this phenomenon. So this is kind of more the story, and then we'll go further into what is it, how. In sum, the Tensor Rings are zero-point scalar healing devices. They produce a never-ending beacon of light on both sides of the ring. So as you're holding a ring, there's a beacon of light on the upper end and on the bottom end of the ring.
How about if you're wearing it like this?
So that's basically...
Would you want it on both wrists?
It's good to have on both wrists because think of polarities, when you have a circuit or a charge just on one side, you want to have it balanced on the other. That's normally what I do, but I don't have another bracelet anymore. So yeah, as the ring is, there's a beacon of light above and below, and that spreads infinitely, to the infinite. It just goes on and on and on, which is really, really beautiful. So they also produce a toroidal field. A toroidal field is like an apple. If you were to split it in half, from the center, it goes up and out, all the way around, and then back into the center. Collecting and structuring matter in the center of the ring and exuding energy outwards until it returns to the center, like an apple. The Tensor Technology has a variety of devices for different applications and functions. Basically, different shapes or different thicknesses of wire, silver, copper, platinum, gold, depending on what metal as well, that also determines what kind of effects you're going to have. Tensor Technology produces a coherent energy that harmonizes all spaces it is near. How does Tensor Technology work? By taking a copper wire, each end has a positive and negative end. Just like a magnet, there's a north end and a south end. So what you do is you bend it in half. So you take a very long wire, bend it in half, and then you twist it upon itself. And we're all going to do that later, so you guys will all see. When you have it bent in half and then twisted on itself, equal amount of energy is going this way, equal amount of energy is going that way. So you have this energy flowing, but the energy is canceling each other out. So that's what creates the 0-point effect, is you have energy flowing, but they're also canceling each other out. Just like energy, but also cancellation. It's really interesting. So when you do that, and then you solder it into the ring, that is what creates the toroidal field. That's what you're seeing right here. You have the tensor ring and the toroidal field. Right. Okay. These energies balance each other out, yet they're still moving and creating a 0-point field. The 0-point field creates a straight line of light, equally proportionate, expanding and collapsing on itself. So it's that folding, expanding, and then collapsing on itself. Before it's soldered into a ring, that 0-point energy creates the beacon of light. That's why once it is a ring, there's a beacon of light above and a beacon of light below. It creates an entire field of light. These straight lines are then cut to specific measurements, which are known as qubits or wavelengths frequencies. These qubits determine the frequency or wavelength the device produces. Each frequency has different effects on life forms. Some are good for animals, but not for humans. Some are good for humans, but not the earth, or the earth, but not animals. This is in very, very rare cases, but everything is resonating at a different frequency. So some frequencies are going to resonate with others, right? So now we're going to go into a bunch of different tensor devices. We have the Tensor Ring, which is what we have right here. Simply the wire wrapped upon itself and then soldered into a ring. So first it's a straight line qubit, and then it's wrapped together. Secondly, we have a tensor pyramid, like this here. Basically what it does is the geometry of a pyramid gathers energy from the base, and as it is being gathered and collected, it rises up to the apex. And as it's rising to the apex, it's being amplified, energized, and centered. Like it's going to the center. So it's gathering from like out here and bringing it together into the centerness.
So is there anything coming from the bottom?
No, so
No.
it's more of like a vacuum.
Okay.
So from the bottom, it's pulling in, and then from the apex, the top, is where it's emitting it out.
Okay, so if you sat that on the floor, you
Mhm.
still are creating, it's
A
still
field.
creating, okay.
Yep.
So when you had that on your head
Mhm.
before, what, like, can you explain kind of what it's doing for you having it there?
Yeah, of course. So when you're wearing it on the head, like this, it's gathering energy from your auric field. So you guys all know about the aura, right? It's about a little bit further than my arms on both sides. And so what the pyramid is doing is it's gathering energy what's below me, and then because of the apex, it's centering it as well. So it's gathering energy, pulling it up, centering it, and then as it rises out of the apex, it emits back out and it showers down, harmonizing my entire aura. So over time, the more that you wear it, you'll have mental clarity, your chakras will also align, you'll also have more aura, more energy, because your aura is getting stronger, there's more voltage coming out. And those are like the main ones, but you also see reduced headaches, mental fog.
Would it be the same if you just did like a bracelet on top of your head?
You could do a bracelet, but it has a, like the bracelet is just going to create a beacon of light, whereas this is more like a, like it's pulling in and then emitting out, which I guess the Tensor Ring is doing as well. It's just a slightly different way of how. Like this is more, as it's rising up, it's being concentrated as well. So, like there's nothing in here that's rising it up to a point, right? It's just coming in, cleansing, going back out. Whereas this is coming in, rising up, being amplified, like exponentially basically, and then emitting back out. Yeah. Any questions on that one? Yeah, please.
You definitely have to have the base together for it. Because one time I had a confession, I did get 4 poles from Home Depot. I put it for my cats to sit under, but I didn't have the base.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just TP'd it.
Yeah.
But they seem to like it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it had some effect, but without the base, it's not the full effect.
I did that as well, but I used copper wire that was left over from a job site,
Oh, perfect.
and I left it ungrounded for whatever reason, and my cat almost left the plant, exited. But yeah, it was interesting.
Like there was that much energy, but it wasn't like rooting into something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I make organite pyramids. I was gonna set one up, but we just didn't have the time. Maybe we will afterwards. But I actually don't use the base on it, and I do that for a reason, because although we want to work with energy and like these tools, what I've noticed is when I close the bottom, most people can't handle the intensity of the energy. Like from the artificial life that we're living to going into such a strong natural device, it's too much of a shift. There's a law of vital adjustment, so we can't extreme ourselves from unnatural living to like this resonance chamber. So when you have the ground taken off of the pyramid, it allows the energy to disperse a lot easier.
Nice.
And I've even brought them to events where like we put them over fires and such, and by like day 4, 5, 6, like there's so much energy that's being cultivated from the pyramid that it gets intense. Like people, like you're walking up to the fire and you're like, whoa. And it becomes very medicinal. And the same as when I break down the pyramid, like when I disconnect the pyramid pipes from the capstone, the energy, it just like washes away. So it definitely captures and collects, and then it also energizes it, enhances it.
What's your perspective on putting a Tensor Ring underneath your bed? Is that a good
Yeah.
option? Yeah.
It may say somewhere in here, I believe, there has yet to be a negative way to use a Tensor Ring. I've been using them for 3 years, and I can't think of a way to not want to use it. It just doesn't make sense when not to. I mean, if you have, please share.
I sleep with the 44 behind my head for a couple weeks now. It is incredible, and it's upwards, so it's at a 90 to the ground.
Okay.
So that I'm in the column,
The
in
whole
the array.
column,
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. But I have the invention I'm talking about with you later. One ring with selenite, but then when I put the magnet behind it, if I leave the North Pole facing out of the magnet into the room, and I leave it, there's tears, people are crying, people are dropping cups. So it's too much energy in the field.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I've noticed with we need to be mindful.
Yes, and in that sense, I do agree that I've had times where I have to take breaks from the technology. I mean, when I'm constantly wearing it almost 90% of the time, if not more. And so every once in a while, I like to take a week where I just am human. But I also like it because it keeps me in connection with the technology. I'm constantly creating it. So instead of having to come from a human vibration into creating it, it's like I'm naturally already in it.
Right.
And the consciousness and essence of the stuff. Yeah, because as you begin, when you're creating these devices, you're summoning in divine light. You're creating a portal that is now structuring matter. It is creating a frequency that is unaffected by anything. Nothing in reality can affect this frequency. I even have a theory that even if I was to cut this, it would still have that signature frequency. So to create something that powerful, it takes a lot of energy. It may not be physical labor, even though there is. It's more an energetic intensity.
So this ring on the floor, if I had one of these at home, my dog laid in the middle of it.
Yeah.
He may like it for a little bit, but then he might
Come in and out.
Probably come in and out, right? Getting used to it. And
Most people I know who have them at the house now, their dogs go in and out.
Yeah.
Some dogs, one woman said that one dog tries to get in it first. She has 2 huge dogs.
And they're fighting over it. Yeah, it's tuning into your own energy and knowing when you've had enough of being retuned. Because it's once you're tuned, right? When you tune a guitar, once it's tuned until you keep playing it and then you tune it again, right? But once it's tuned, you don't try to keep tuning it. It's there. So it's the same with the rings where once you feel you've received what you need, then you can move on. You don't have to be in it. For me, I'm just always wearing it. I love it. Would you guys like to pass around the pyramids? Yeah.
What if you put a plate of food inside one when you're eating? Is that?
Yeah, so I normally use the rings when I'm eating. I'll place it underneath
Underneath
the plate. Yeah.
Okay.
That way it's not interfering. I don't have to worry about
Gotcha.
Food running into my copper and stuff.
Right.
And yeah, I even cook with food. I have a gas stove, so I can put it in the little grate. So that's what I learned from. I forget some Sperling's wife's name.
Yeah, we talked with her. Can't think of it right now.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, moving on. It'll come later, of course. But she's the one who actually taught me that, putting rings in the stove, because as you're cooking your food, one, you're destroying it with the heat, right? And then you want to harmonize that back, right? You want to bring light energy into it. And since using that, I've noticed that I can digest food a lot easier. I don't need to eat as much because there's more prana in it, there's more energy. So as I'm eating it, normally when I eat, 3 bowls, no, I only need to eat 1 because it's I feel energized,
Just what we're seeking is the prana, the light.
The prana, yeah. Let me grab another here.
Yeah. It's so good.
I can make some fashion things.
I also want to share. So, this is my first pyramid. It's all wonky and wacky.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. So I wanted to share this with y'all. First off, I'm 23, so hi. I'm very young. I'm a baby still. And that's what everyone says. So when I created this, I barely knew what I was doing. I just wanted a pyramid, okay? And so I just put like 4 ends together. I did my best to solder it, and you know, as you can tell, like it's very wonky, right? You know, it hasn't been like thrown around a lot. This is like wonky from creation. And so I wanted to share that persistence and following after what you guys really love to do and striving to improve and become better at what you do is how you end up with this type of result, which is a really high quality. It's precise, it's straight, because when I first made this, I just wanted a pyramid, you know? And then I learned that like it's important to have the angles and the geometries really on point, because all of that, like matter in space holds information, right? It's its own consciousness. And so angles and ratios and degrees, all that is a way to instruct energy. It's like the harmonics, sound, frequencies, everything, you know? So like this isn't going to be as effective as my pyramids now. I also learned since making harmonizers about the positive and negative that every straight line cubit has a positive and negative charge.
How can you figure that out?
So you can dowse, and I have a
Okay.
tensor dowsing pendulum.
Okay.
That's what I use.
That's a good idea.
Because crystals, you know, they pick up energies and memories. The tensor is always emitting its own light, so it's not affected.
Got it.
Which is why I like to use it.
Yeah. What angle do you make those at?
So that one is an equilateral, so it should be 45 degrees.
Okay.
Yeah, all of the angles are the exact same size.
Got it. Feels good, huh?
Yeah, and that's the Viking cubit. So that is 443 megahertz. It's the very gentle, nurturing, feminine, calming, soothing. It alleviates headaches, helps with people that have sleep disorders or anxiety disorders. So it's that light feminine essence that we're all needing.
Yes.
We're all wanting, seeking. We don't need it.
What makes it different than like a non-one, like
The cubit length.
Like
the length of the...
yeah, so like what makes it the Viking cubit is the measurement, which is the cubit. So like I was saying in the slide before, wavelength, right? So the wavelength is determined by the length of the wave, right? So the measurement of the line determines the frequency, which is the wavelength.
Okay,
Does that all
so
make sense?
if it was like smaller or bigger, it wouldn't necessarily be that feminine.
Yeah, it'd be a different signature too.
And how do you know how big to make it? Or what's going to create what frequency?
So the frequencies I cannot fully say. I'm not at the level of geopathic dowsing and anything like that. I've actually am working on creating my first qubit, but it's literally been in my head for the past year because I'm like, I don't even know if am I okay to do this or not, you know, type of thing.
I did print out the qubit lengths that have been discovered by Brian over at Twisted Sage.
Yeah, he was the OG. Like he was my.
He's great.
I've never talked to him.
Oh, you should call him. He's
I probably
so sweet.
I've never thought of talking to these guys. I've just like followed and listened to all their videos and went on their website and Sacred Measures.
He would love to talk to you.
Oh, wow. Cool. Yes, I'm sure.
What do you mean creating your first qubit?
So qubits
I'm
are.
a kindergartner.
No, it's okay. The qubits are another term for the frequency or like that signature effect, right? And so the qubit that I'm working on, I want to call it the unity frequency. It's going to be 555 megahertz.
Yes.
And what's really interesting is mathematically it aligns up with the 528 hertz and the 333 megahertz.
Wow.
Like the measurement adds up. So I'm like, okay, this is like
magic.
It seems to be there, but I'm trying to remain humble and like wait until spirit really says like,
For
okay, it's
sure.
time.
And that means that you're figuring out how long the pieces of
Mhm.
copper need to be.
The measurement, exactly. So the measurement is going to determine the frequency. So what I first did was I journaled all of the effects and the frequency that I was seeking, and then I sat in deep meditation channeling like, okay, well, what is the measurement? And dowsing, like, okay, is it in between 20 and 30 centimeters? Is it between 30 and 40? That's how you.
Yeah.
That's how they
Yeah.
originally found the
I learned
keys.
everything from pendulum.
It's a really great tool.
It's the answer key.
It helps like get you out of your own mind and just tuning into the electromagnetic field, allowing that to be the speaker. So I want to share quickly about the pyramid and how it is set up. So like this is just 4 pieces thrown together. Okay, don't look at this. But those ones, what I have is a negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. Does that make sense? So it's going in a clockwise direction. And so the positive will go into the negative. Like the negative point will be connecting to the positive. Does that make sense? Like here's a positive, here's a negative. So the positive energy goes into the negative and keeps going. So all the pyramids create a clockwise energy. And then on the upper points as well, it has the negative on the bottom and the positive on the top. So it's creating a clockwise energy, and then also that upper spiral.
So it'd be pulling up to the positive?
And pulling up, because negative to positive.
Okay.
What do you mean by, like, you mean the connector is?
Yeah. So it's not one line. If you look closely, there's 4 pieces on the bottom, and then the 4 angles on top. So each are just soldered into each other.
And you twisted it first.
Yeah, single twist.
And do you have a copper source you like to use?
I'll be honest, Home Depot. I've tried ethical sourcing or like online sourcing, but one, I want this to be as affordable as possible to the people, and there really isn't like
It'd be
another.
pretty cool if we could melt some pennies.
But even you'd have to get pennies like before
1978,
1978,
yeah.
78, because they're not even copper anymore.
Copper's too valuable for a penny, right?
Yeah, and I've
If
even
that's
had
the
people
case, I would
like,
be keeping them all.
and I've even had people give me insulated wire.
Yeah.
That's like solid, and I've done that a little bit, but it takes you
It's a
hours
lot.
to
Yeah.
strip
Part,
it,
Scrape it off.
to scrape it off,
People
and then
burn it, but that's nasty.
yeah. So I tell people, I'm like, honestly, like just go junk it, let them do what they know how to. Like they're masters at that. I'm masters at just taking the copper and making magic with it.
Is there a device that you can utilize to see the frequency? Like, you know how EMFs, you have a device and you can test.
Yeah, I don't know honestly.
You could douse it.
You can
you
douse
could
it.
pendulum see.
And
what it is.
that's what like so when Slim Sperling was first creating like the Royal Cuba, which is the 144 megahertz, he first had a bunch of master dowsers come to his area and said like, hey, I want you guys all to like check this out and see if you're all feeling the same thing. And that's like one in itself very difficult because everybody perceives reality different, right? We're all seeing a different truth. But to get multiple master dowsers in a room and to all agree that this is creating the same frequency and the same effects, I mean, that's the magic. And the 144, the Royal Cubit, which is what we'll be working with today, it comes from the King's Chamber of the Cheops Pyramid in Giza. So it has a very, very earth resonant, but also physical, like energizing. It. The way that I best can explain is anything in this physical dimension improves itself, like its quality of life through the Royal Cubit. And yeah, that was the first Cubit that I worked with for months. I didn't work with anything else. I was like, I just want to learn this frequency and feel it and like recognize it. Because some people just create, but I feel it's important to be able to pick up a ring and know what frequency it is, like to feel the differences, which takes a lot of tuning into your subtle body. Yeah.
Right. By positive and negative, is it the direction that the spiral's going?
Yeah. So negative always goes to positive, So it's flowing negative to positive, and then negative to
And
positive.
it's like the way that the twist is going.
Through
So like
the,
if you twisted
the
it
wire.
counterclockwise as seen from above, is that how you determine?
well, the cop. oh,
How do you
sorry.
know,
s-
how do you determine positive?
The copper naturally conducts electricity through it, because it's a copper wire, correct?
Mhm. Yeah, so
Yeah.
copper in itself has a current. Just like if you were to pick up a magnet, there's a south end and a north end. There's a positive and a negative.
Okay.
So
So
that's the same with
each strand there is putting off a positive and a negative.
correct.
But is it based on the way the twist is going? Or
No, yes.
No.
So like when you take a big spool of copper wire, one end is gonna have a positive charge and one has a negative charge.
Mm.
Then when you bend it in half and twist it on itself, there's equal amount of energy, but there's still like this is where the negative end began and this is where the positive end is
How do
going.
you know which is which?
You have to douse it. So, and
Or feel it,
feel it,
right?
yeah.
Because
So
if this is a wire and this is a negative and this is positive, energy naturally is going to flow down here. Charge, right? It's going to be that charge in the ether is going to flow down through there. It doesn't want to go this way
No.
because just like a magnet wouldn't want to go, the opposite direction.
and that's just the fields, and that's another way to tune in is the negative side will have a very strong pulling. I think I say that
This is doing something on me.
here, yeah. So the negative charge has a pulling and removing of stagnant energy, so it's going to move it up,
Mm.
and then the positive end is going to emit. So like you were saying, the negative is going to pull in, transmute, and then on the positive end emit out. That's
And that's a harmonizer right
this
there.
is a harmonizer, yeah. Anybody have any questions of the pyramids before I go into the harmonizer?
One quick one.
Yeah. of
So
course.
when you're doing negative to positive,
Mhm.
when you're doing up and down,
Mhm.
this one, are you going straight in the middle? I mean, where does your negative and positive go then?
Yeah. So
That's a good question.
yeah, so like for example, this is a negative piece, this is a positive, and then negative on this end, and then positive here. And then for the standing up pieces, these are all negative points. And then the
The
four
positive.
meeting up at the top are the positive.
Okay, makes
Yeah.
sense.
And what I did was I soldered it on top of the corner. So it's kind of like the in between where the positive goes into the negative.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I'm feeling like a cooling inside there.
It could be removing excess heat. Like I'll be honest, every person has a different effect or a different experience, and that's because we're all different frequencies. We all have a different story, different traumas, different emotions, different feelings, everything. So what may work for me may not work for you. What may I perceive, you may not perceive, or vice versa. What may be hot for me is cold for you.
Yeah, well, excess heat makes sense because heat sounds like irritation.
Especially with how hot it is right now.
Have you heard of the DPE 1000?
DPE 1000. What I really want to share with all these different type of devices is that the geometry and then the polarity, right? So the positive, negative, that has a very large impact on how these devices work, and then the geometry as well. So like the pyramid, the geometry of a pyramid is to gather from the base and rise up, right? And then also negative always flowing to positive. So that has a lot of play and effect on a lot of these devices. Okay, so now we're going to talk about tensor harmonizers. What this is a one ring is twice the size of the other four rings. Does that make sense, everybody?
One
So,
ring.
is twice the
Twice.
size of these four rings.
Really?
So you have a half cubit, and then you have quarter cubits. Or, to make it easier for everybody's brain, you have one full cubit, and then you have 4 cubits that are half of that measurement. Does that make sense?
Well, how many rings you got in there?
So there's 5 technically.
5?
But they're half rings. So what you do is you create a frame that is one large ring, and then you have 4 rings that are half that size, and all the negatives meet in the center, and then the positives meet on the other end. it's hard to explain verbally. It's a little bit easier visually. Yeah. But basically on the bottom, this side right here is the center of the larger ring, and then the negative end of the 4 rings that are half the size meet in the center. And then they all points meet at the top, and that's a positive end. And then what we have in the center is known as an AccuVac. Like I was saying with the copper wire, there's always a negative charge and a positive charge, right? So you create a massive coil, and then you dowse what side is negative, what side is positive, and you put the negative side of the coil with all the negative points, and the positive side of the coil with all the positive points. That way the entire energetic is going from gathering the negative energy on the bottom, harmonizing it through the AccuVac, and then emitting it back out.
And what do you use this one for?
So this, what I've found, is really, really good for energetic healing, like energy clearing, pulling out blockages, stagnations, cord cutting, entity removal as well.
So you just place it on their body wherever intuitively.
Yeah, I mean every healing practice would be different, of course. But where you feel a blockage or stagnation, or someone's like, yeah, that's where the discomfort is. You would want the negative end, and you would want to circulate it in a counterclockwise fashion. Counterclockwise is reversing and removing. So you would slowly tune into the energy, and then start slowly pulling it out. You'd really want to tune into that, and when you feel it's like ready to just be cleared, cut, just chuck it. That's what I've learned in Reiki.
And so is that all copper, even the middle?
Yep,
Okay.
it's all copper. It looks wild because I haven't polished it yet. Sometimes I like to polish them, sometimes I like to leave them like this.
Is there an extra wire, or is that just like the coil?
This one right here?
Yeah.
So that's the wire connecting the top end and the bottom end.
Of the coil?
Of the coil.
Okay.
Of the coil, yeah. And I could twist it more.
Is it
Like
supposed?
make it
Is that the
closer.
design to do that?
Yeah, so when you wrap the coil, right, there's the one point of the coil is going to be up here and one point is going to be down here. You have to bridge them to create that full circuit, right?
Okay.
And so how I make my AccuVacs is I solder the points. Probably would be hard to see. Let's see. Right here. It's kind of hard to tell. But for all of you guys, you can see. So what I do is I make the solder point towards the negative end. So that way, one, if you're not as sensitive, or if you're in a rush, or just whatever reason, it's easier to know what side is negative and what side is positive. You can quickly look at, oh, this is a negative, this is a positive end, just like that. You know? So it helps a lot. I'm going to pass this around. You guys can feel. On one side, you'll feel almost like something is pinching the palm of your hand, and the other side, it'll feel like a pressure, like a pencil is going into your hand.
And that would be good to do space clearing as well.
Space clearing as well, yeah. Environmental clearing.
I feel like that's what it just did when the circuit went. Because
Oh.
you pulled that out, and then she spoke about that device that was a mirror of that device with this device. And it just cleared off the grid.
That was
what we needed cleared off for the arrival at the higher plane. Yeah, most high.
Yeah, thanks.
His
Environmental, what about like in a waterway? I mean, you
Yeah,
mentioned
so that
waterways.
so that's what I was gonna get into is what I received for a part of my mission is to work with the springs and the waterways in Florida. So I go to spring heads and I grid the harmonizers. And what I do, and Slim Sperling taught this, so those are the environmental harmonizers. And they normally have a 5 to 25 mile radius. But if you run what is called environmental clearing, it's a 1 hour frequency audio tape that Slim Sperling made. It's basically like we're communicating in English, right? We're speaking vibration through English. The environmental clearing is a bunch of frequencies that is communicating with the technology. And it amplifies it and enhances its range, its efficiency, and its effects.
Do you leave them there, or you leave the?
I will literally I swim
Go
into
down
the, yeah,
into it.
I swim into the hole.
Thank you.
And drop them in.
Have you done rainbow springs?
Rainbow, yeah.
Wonderful.
I've done rainbow. I've done a lot more.
Seven Sisters.
No, you can send it to me and I will.
I'll give
Yeah.
you the address. It's a hidden one.
Yeah, see, I need the hidden ones
Yeah.
because
I'll run a house.
I've done a
I've
lot
done-
in High Springs. I've done Kelly, Kelly
Jenny.
Rock. I've done Jenny's.
Of course. Oh my gosh, thank you. I've done much good work there myself.
I'm like, why am I here,
I
Spirit?
know, right?
Oh, that's why I'm here. Yeah.
Kelly and Jenny, what are these
That's in
places?
Gainesville, north of
Yeah,
Gainesville.
Oh,
It's
wiki-washi.
Spring
it's a
Heads.
like legal
Yeah.
party central. out
There's
of
so many
Spring
parties are going on.
in a lazy river. It's,
Kitty Springs,
yeah.
is that it?
Yeah.
So does anybody have any questions about the harmonizers? How they work? What they do?
How qubit is that to make the
So
environmental?
that one is 177
Okay.
megahertz, and then I have another one out there that's 144. So that one's working more on the emotional and mental body.
Okay.
Yeah. So the harmonizers are more for like clearing and then refilling, like specifically. Like where a tensor ring can just be a beacon, you want to shine something, you want to harmonize something, great. But the harmonizers are more for that, like pulling something out specific and then refilling it back in the positive. More like it's more directed than what a ring would normally do.
Would you turn it the other way, the positive towards the body to refill?
To fill it back.
Okay.
Yeah, so negative counterclockwise pull out,
Mhm.
and then you flip it, and then clockwise you fill it back.
Okay.
As the tensor field generator, which is this little device right here, it is 4 rings interwoven and interlocked. I've tried multiple times to make it. It's actually quite difficult to make this. And it has a completely different energy from the harmonizers. So the harmonizers has like a drawing in and emitting out end, right? The generators create more of a bubble because one, the ring is in every direction. There's one going up, there's one going horizontal or vertical, horizontal, diagonal, and diagonal. So it crosses all 4 axes, all 4 planes. And like we were saying, right, the tensor ring in itself creates a beacon of light infinitely in that direction. So when you have it on all 4 planes of axis, it creates this massive bubble around you. So instead of like the harmonizer where it's like just like this, it from the center point, it's just emanating out a very strong field. And that's why it's called a field and a generator, because it generates that really strong field. This is a 4-ringed one. Thank you for allowing me to share. And then there's also a 6-ringed one, which God be willed. I'm not there. And I'll admit that, I've been working with this stuff for 3 years. Some things are like very easy, some things aren't. For me, I found my gift is sacred geometry, so that's what I'm studying. Next, what we have, any questions on the generator? No? Good? Cool. Next, we have what is known as an AccuVac, which is also in the harmonizers. This is, so you can make a AccuVac with the twisted wire or a double twisted wire, but I recommend leaving it as just a single cord because it has a stronger negative positive. Because like I was saying, once you drill it and twist it on itself, it has more of that 0 point effect. So instead of it having a really strong like this, now it's like, does that make sense?
Right.
So it's a lot stronger when it's not twisted at all. Recommend on that. And once again, the AccuVacs are really, really good for like specific removals. Like if you're working on your body, there's a lot of pain and tension here. Okay, let's pull that out. Like the Tensor Ring will help restructure and harmonize and reduce inflammation and such, but it's a vacuum, energetic vacuum. So it's just like some things are more effective than just the ring.
I imagine you're having a tool belt.
That's basically what it is, but I gotta make a tool belt now.
Yeah.
I'll make a copper tool belt,
Exactly. And they'll have like whatever, the
Anything that I flip it up. Here we go. Yeah.
Or you could have a toolbox.
Oh, yeah,
It might be a lot
toolbox.
to wear all of that on you.
I can't
You
feel
might
them
levitate.
anymore.
Yeah.
I so that's another thing. That's the only other time. What was it that I asked when you shouldn't wear a ring? Is when you want to really tune into your own energy, right? Because these devices produce their own field of energy and their own frequency. So you can't fully tune into yourself if you're constantly wearing this.
How do you feel about sheets? Because my sister
Sheets.
had made me a sheet. I had it. It was like bent. It was almost like a collar.
Oh
like
yeah.
A plate around
Okay.
my neck to, the thyroid and all that to
Yeah.
just kind of shield it. And
Oh, like a sheet of
Yeah, like
copper.
a sheet copper. Yeah, I've
Like
seen.
Shalom used to wear.
Yeah, I used to have like the bracelets, maybe, I don't know what size, maybe 3/4 of an inch or so.
Mhm.
Not sure how thick, maybe
but
a
you
couple
feel
millimeters.
it has to be connected to really get the benefit.
Well, copper in itself is actually really healing and beneficial to the body. It's been known in Ayurveda for thousands of years. From drawing out toxins, EMF protection in itself, like just having copper around you is grounding you and protecting you from EMFs. It gathers that energy and then it moves it. It collects it. So it also acts as like a shield. So yeah, when you are wearing it, it doesn't have to be connected, but where it isn't connected is an opening, right?
I think she had like a little. It has a clasp.
Like a little clasp or something. That's
So what
what I
did you
guess.
notice when you wore it?
I felt like I was just
Oh,
more.
yes, yeah, please. You're like, I'm
I
ready.
just I could feel everything when I drove, and when I put that on, I felt like relief.
Which is the
Like a
negative that you
shield
know?
of protection.
It was almost,
But I want you also to feel.
Okay, yeah.
You
and
still
that
have
was
it.
Because
just
one
a
side may
assist-
feel really hot and pressurized, on the other side, like a lighter force.
Yeah.
So,
I can feel it pulling. Yeah.
yeah. So that's the AccuVac. Any questions on the AccuVac? Everybody got that?
The
Is
God
it hard
vacuum.
to create these, like to bend it?
Yeah,
Do you wrap it around something?
yeah, I use a 3/4 inch copper pipe, and I just wrap it and wrap it and wrap it and wrap it and wrap it.
Do you sell these?
Of course. This is my life. This is like my lifestyle, my life. This
We're
is
gonna
all
make
that I
one, then
do.
he's gonna pull out his gear.
Yeah, I got a bunch of gear after. So next we have any questions on the AccuVac? We're good? We're good?
Love
Cool.
it.
Okay, so next we have the feedback loop, which is basically an AccuVac coil. So this was like at once one really long coil, and then I bent it on itself. This is another design of Slim Sperling. So one side is negative and another side is positive. So what it's doing is, while it's pulling out energy, it's also putting like positive energy back
It's like
in
a
at the same.
renewal.
So it's like putting like a negative AccuVac on you and a positive AccuVac on you at the same time. So it's a dual whammy.
Clearing tool.
Yeah, this is it. This.
Marianne.
I-
Marianne Sterling, I think.
For
Maybe.
her name.
Yeah.
I thought it was Sterling, but
Marianne.
I don't.
I'll look it up.
I have a new technique, copper chakra clearing.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I also teach qigong and like how to use these devices with qigong, and like how to tune more into the field with these devices. The feedback loop I'll also pass around for you guys.
Okay.
I mean, one, it looks like a freaking magnet. It's just like zoom, zoom, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, you definitely feel a clearing and then a pressure. Like it's hot. You feel a lot of pressure and stimulation on it, heat, or at least this is for me,
Mhm.
and just like balance. But, yeah, tune that in.
I wonder if
so
you put, excuse me.
No.
Like if you're wearing tennis shoes, like you're going for a walk
Mm-hmm.
or a run. I wonder if you put like a copper ring in each shoe. Would that have any sort of benefits or no?
If you're like referring to grounding, no, it wouldn't.
Not for grounding, but
For columns of light and
Or just-
structuring your
I used to
feet.
put
You
the
could,
tape
but,
inside of my soles.
Like, and I've kind of worked with this. It would honestly throw off your biological function
Mm.
because you're now like.
Did you hear
it
that?
would-
Listen.
oh, I'm sorry.
So if you were to put a tensor ring like underneath your foot and walk around with it, it would mess up your the order of your nerves, which would then like affect your biological function. So I wouldn't recommend that.
I know copper fits socks.
Yeah, so you know, in that sense, I guess you could do. There's even copper soles, which I've used before.
Jewel shoes, JUIL. They used to have them. They don't make them anymore. That would be cool to check out too.
Copper.
They used to make it, and they had actual copper on each and every toe.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
And there's the barefoot something. He's out west, and he's Native American. He makes an athlete grounding shoe.
Yeah.
Barefoot something.
It's something that I'd like to eventually do is create just some way to like put a copper plate on the bottom of your shoe, run a wire through it, and then like have a copper conductive sole. But that's why I'm just always barefoot. The only time I'm not barefoot is gas stations, Walmart, and like really high traffic areas.
Well, with anything under the ground that's man-made.
Sidewalks that have rebarb.
Yeah. So it depends. Some well, cement in itself is conductive. It has limestone in it. It has
Cement?
Cement. Yeah, cement it's conductive in itself. However, like you're saying, like if they put a tarp in between the soil and the cement, then it won't have a charge. But yeah, cement is cement is conductive, and you can do this with a voltometer test. Put a negative into the ground, and you have the positive. Put your foot onto the cement, and you'll either have a voltage, or you won't, and you'll know if it's grounded or not.
Do your feet get burned when you're walking around on the hot cement?
I've gotten used to it.
Yeah.
Here's what my feet do.
Yeah.
Daniel's always barefoot.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you just walk around so much barefoot, it calluses up. It
Yeah.
gets hard, and
Clearwater Beach, we used to walk on the streets in summertime.
oh yeah.
Every step is painful, but
You get
do
used
get
to
used
it.
to it.
Yeah, it
Yeah, it's,
neutralizes.
A hot street.
Yeah. Okay, so next we have sacred geometry, which started coming to me in November of last year.
That's when he sent it.
Yeah, that was like actually it was late October. I'm sorry. This was my first, the one that he sent you, that Seed of Life. That was my first sacred geometry. So this is the Seed of Life. Let's see. Oh my God, it looks great.
So I just have to say that Damien, who comes to the center last November, I had shared, we just started getting the Tensor, like really loving it, and shared that if he could find somebody local, that would be so great if we could have someone that could help create these. And I'm at a festival, I just met this, brother, and he sends a picture on November 23rd at 11:23.
Yeah,
it was a double, and
yeah,
I caught that.
yeah.
And it was this beautiful, but bigger, flower of life on your
chest. And then I had a large flower. The flower of life, yeah.
It was a triple to bring you here, because then it was Hannah, and then at the same time we were actually watching him on Abundance.
On Jack's.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
so we
on
were
the
like,
podcast?
it was like 1, 2, 3, okay. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
well,
was
we're watching him right now.
We were watching somebody else, like this old world Florida guy.
Oh yeah, old
Yeah.
Lord
He's
Tartarian.
great,
Yeah.
man. But yeah, like a couple weeks before, he said, "Oh, and I'm gonna have you
Yeah.
on this podcast in a couple weeks." So we knew it was coming on the electroculture, because we've been kind of like interested in electroculture, playing with it a little bit.
Yeah, and that'll be a whole nother workshop.
Yeah, right.
I'm working on creating a whole presentation on that. Like, as you can tell, this was kind of short, but it's still fun. I feel like this is just to kind of like help you guys and something to look at, but it's really about communicating and interacting with me. So sacred geometry, every platonic solid, it all is giving a different information to matter and space. So like I was saying earlier, space holds information. That's why you guys can tell when you go into space, oh, this is a high vibe. Oh, that's a low vibe. Get me out, Space holds information. And so what sacred geometry in itself does is it puts, it's a part of the blueprint of creation. It's a part of the language of creation. It's how everything works. It's like the coding of the computer, right? And so sacred geometry is a byproduct of creation, and it also assists in keeping creation in order, right? And so then when we start creating sacred geometry with beacons of lights, we go from Tensor Rings to Tensor Divinity is all that I can really say. It's like the next step. Like if you had just like the Seed of Life sign or sticker, that is healing. But now you have 8 columns and beacons of light in that geometry. So the way that light is hitting you is geometric. So it's giving a deeper information to your cells, to the atoms, to space around you.
And then that fractals out. So where do you suggest putting one of those? Because we have
These?
one.
I would, it all depends. Like, if you're wanting to use it in between every session, or if you're wanting to, like, use it in the space, the intention is really what's going to direct it.
But where in between the session?
So in between sessions, normally a main altar. So if you have, like, a center altar for the space, I would keep it on that.
Okay.
And then when you're, like, just have it easily removable, placeable.
Would you sleep with it?
I
Like, I know Brian and his, he has like 4 of the these chamber rings in a 0 gravity chair, right? And then he's got that Seed of Life at one end.
Yeah, on the chair,
Yeah,
right? Like facing into
yeah.
it. And then the pyramid as well,
Right.
I think. Yeah, so I would love to sit in that chamber. So I've slept with the Flower of Life, the big 61 ring. I kept that under my bed for 2 months and consistently like 3-4 hours wired.
Okay.
Like, I didn't need as much sleep, and it was getting to me to where like I have so much energy, I have so much time, I don't know what to do with this time.
Right.
And so it really started like shaping my reality in a different way.
Where is it now?
It's back in Boca. That's like
Okay.
my anchor.
All right.
So I like to keep that there. That's the anchor.
Just curious.
You're from Boca?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I'm not from, but that's
I mean,
where
do you live over there and come
that's
back
where I
and
live.
forth?
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago I was at an expo and I met Hannah, and then Hannah and I just talked for hours. And she loved all the Tensor Tech and everything that I do. And then
Yeah.
she connected with Alasa,
yeah.
and then Alasa connected with me, and now here I am.
Wendy, you
But
can
it's
move
been
that
like
pillow
little sprinkles
off
of magic.
if you don't want it.
Oh, I didn't even
Yeah.
notice.
You could take it off, or
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just throw it back if you
Oh,
want.
So
okay.
I'm blessed
I like
that you're
that.
here.
We're
I mean,
grateful.
that's
you're
where
here.
I
One of the beloved sisters, Teresa, wanted to make the food.
Yeah.
So she dreamt, we're all active lucid dreamers here,
Okay.
and she dreamt with you that night when you first made contact that you were an alien and that she was helping you land your spaceship to bring it in steady. And when she did, she then had to go on house arrest at her house for helping. And so the download on that I interpret is that she wanted help with food. Right? So she was settling in, but she, upgrade all of the language I just said, delete and upgrade. She just was being asked to hold center over there, like hold a grounding point for us to be here.
Yeah, it's like that core anchor.
Just like what you
That's
said
it.
with over in Boca, that seed.
Yeah, I've noticed that I create vortexes and these are beacons of light, and I have hundreds of these, if not thousands now.
Wow.
All around Florida, all the way up to North Carolina and Shasta, in Arizona and Tucson and Sedona, Colorado. So wherever I go, they come with, and they're always in water. That's the main place that I like to grid, because water holds memory and water travels.
Can you go back to the Tensor Ring around the electrical thing outside?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
So
that was so short. It was
so
like
we
a very.
just need one ring.
Yes.
Just one ring.
Just one ring.
Just one ring. So the ring is harmonizing the entire field around it, right? And also all the energy that's moving through it. So it improves the electrical inputs that your house is receiving, and it's not requiring as much. How? It blows my mind, other than like the harmonic radius and effect of it is what reduces ego. And I've noticed it with that. I've also used it for improving my gas. Like I have a
Where do you
van.
put it on your gas?
So when I take the
Pump?
the pump, I just put a ring over it.
Yes.
Actually, I just put both of these crowns
I
because
love
they're
you.
big. I just put it right in, and then and I've done it multiple times. where, and it's all highway because I travel a lot. When I don't use the rings, I normally have about 10, if I'm lucky, 10.5 miles per gallon. When I use the rings, I get 12 and a half.
Because it structures it, right?
It's
So it goes in its
structuring,
better
yeah, it's
use in the
structuring
vehicle.
structuring the
And then
gas.
I see you grounded the spaceship with a wire. We've
Yeah.
been playing with that as well.
Oh, okay.
So tell us about that.
The
They don't know what I'm talking about.
the
The van?
spaceship,
Yeah,
the
the
van.
The van.
Oh,
You put a wire down when you got here.
oh wait, the long one or
Yeah. Was that purposeful to ground the van here?
Oh, I didn't ground the van. I guess technically in that sense, no.
Oh, okay, well, we've been playing with
the
that.
van has so much energy in it, though.
I know.
One, it's a freaking aluminum tin can, right?
Did you see Hannah's van? She's
Yeah,
got copper
yeah.
all.
Hers is just yeah. But I have a bunch of orgonite in mine, cloud busters, pyramids, and then all the tensor rings, and then I have a massive altar. So yeah, the energy gets.
It's
I like for having the van for 3 years. I've only had to do oil changes, the brakes, and tires. That's really rare, especially for a 2000. And it sat for 4 years before I bought it.
right. It's
So
totally a
it's,
spaceship.
It's
Yeah.
energy is vibing. And
Yeah.
that's what's keeping it
Yeah.
alive.
I need some copper wire to fix my radio that's on the blink.
You know,
Put the
you
ring
may be able
around
to.
it. Yeah.
So with the electricity, could you just even get like a small one and like tape it to the electric box or whatever that?
No, I would put a tensor ring around it. Like,
Do you have that
it's-
size here
Around the meter.
for us to
Yeah,
buy?
it depends, but yeah, the crowns would fit. Yeah.
They sell them.
How much is the
those
crown?
Are pretty easy to
The
find.
crowns are 40.
Okay, great.
Can I?
I want to get one.
Can I commit to one of those?
I want to get one.
So do I.
Good.
There's
Probably
multiple.
has more.
If anyone
I
needs
think
it,
I
you
have
can have
3 or
it.
Come on,
4 with me.
girls.
We'll
I just
follow
told you, if anyone needs it, you can have it.
Yeah, and you know, I can always create more and
We're
ship
just
and all the
playful
things.
right now.
Would you guys like to also fill the seed of life?
I have.
What'd you say?
Stay in town. I mean, we got
Yeah.
friends.
I know, right? Well, also, I was supposed to go back to the East Coast tomorrow for a 10-mile skull, but that was canceled because they're getting rained out like crazy
There's
right
so
now.
many pretty places here for you to visit.
So, you know, yeah, y'all, alright, stay.
It's
alright.
beautiful.
Well, I camp for a few days now, so I may even be teaching a workshop tomorrow. So,
Wonderful. Where?
at my buddy Chop's house, he was trying to get
Close?
here. It's about an hour.
Can I go? Or?
I don't remember.
You don't.
so,
Okay. Go ahead.
yeah.
Let's go.
So, anyways, moving on. Sacred geometry, you guys get like how different geometric aspects, like egg of life, seed of life, flower of life, Metatron's cube, all of these are going to have different effects. The Vesica Pisces, the Holy Trinity, they each have their own resemblance and signature as a part of creation. And then you make it into tensor rings and it amplifies it. The same with the platonic solids. I haven't done this, but I've only seen one person do it, and it's really, really cool. You guys know what the platonic solids are? So the platonic solids are the 5 original solids or shapes in creation. And if I'm not mistaken, every side is equal in proportion, dimension, and shape. And so there's only 5. We've tried for hundreds of years to find others. There's only 5. And they each represent one of the elements: earth, air, fire, water, and ether. A lot of people don't know about ether. We took it out of our textbooks in the early 1900s when they were erasing Tartaria, the mud floods, all that. Ether was wiped out, and then science became illusion.
Yeah.
It was all theory. Before that, ether was a part of the equation. After ether was taken out, it's now theory.
Kind of locks it in.
Yeah.
Can I see one of those crowns?
Do you have a platonic solid example?
I don't, unfortunately. I have not made one yet.
Thank you.
It's the one thing that I haven't done really. Even the feedback loop. So I haven't done the feedback loop until right before this. So I'll admit, when I'm called into things like this, like it pushes me to do new things, which I'm grateful for. I had never made a feedback loop before. I don't know why, just never did. But I wanted to have it here as an example, and also like it's one of the main tools that SIM was about. So.
So this list here is from that teacher, Serling, whatever.
This is just from my awareness, and from what I understand, I'm pretty sure he makes tensor rings, tensor harmonizers, AccuVax, and the feedback loop. That's Slim Sperling.
That you learned from that person.
I learned a blend of Slim Sperling and then Twisted Sage, Brian, right? Or is that
Yep.
Is that Twisted Sage? Yeah. Okay. So Brian, I'm pretty sure invented the tensor field generator, which is the interlocking of the four. He also has a bunch of other sacred geometry, like different designs. The AccuVac and feedback loop, harmonizer and tensor ring, that's from Slim Sperling, the like original discoverer of it. The tensor pyramid, I started working with. I had not seen anyone making them before. I don't know if you guys have heard of Pyridine.
Maybe. Tell us about it.
They're another pyramid company. They just got discontinued last year. I was like, oh, that was
Interesting.
But they were the ones that inspired me to make the pyramids because they were just selling them for way too much, and I'm like no.
How much are you selling those for?
These $100,
Okay.
but they were selling them for like 3 or 4, and it was just copper plated, and it wasn't twisted. It's totally different.
Maybe that's why they're gone.
Another
Too
plane.
much and-
And another shift, yeah.
They're
Find
another
out. I
plane.
went on their website and they're like, yeah, we're out of business now. I'm like, what? Like, that's what it is. So they were my inspiration for the tensor pyramids. I also make pyramids with crowns in them. I was gonna do it to those two, but I decided not to because they have a different effect once you put on the crown. One, it sits up higher, and the ring in itself really creates a centering column. Like it enhances more of that center column. Without the ring on the base, it's more of like this gathering up energy. But once you have that ring on the column, it's like more like this. Does that make sense?
Okay.
The crown is like when the crown is with the pyramid, that is, in my experience, strictly for like meditation. Like that is the best. Whereas for these, you can wear them all day. You can do them for healing. Like kind of what I noticed multiple of you were putting it over the womb, right? Yeah, very beneficial. The same with the tensor rings. I tell women all the time, especially when they're on the moon cycles, place a ring over here or like place it from your underwear to here and just walk around all day. Yeah, it really helps with cramps, inflammation, pain. I haven't had a woman tell me it doesn't help, so that's good. You can scroll down a little bit. The last one is the Tensor Wand and Dowser Tensor. This is kind of like what I was talking about earlier. So when you twist the copper on itself, normally you need a matrix to twist, like to bend it around, right? So normally I use the 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch copper pipe. And once I'm done twisting it, you lift it off and you have a hook, right? That hook I'll tie to a string and then I'll use that as my dowsing rod. And I use that because it's not being affected by anything around it. So if I ask, okay, what is the energy of this? It's going to tune into that, and it's not going to be affected by my thoughts or someone
or the ley
else.
line.
Exactly, which is, it's just more direct.
I like that.
So structuring your water, EMF protection, those are like the two main ones, and food as well. I tell people all the time, wearing this is going to protect you from all the energies in the environment. Like that's the main reason why I wear these all the time. Because I'm so sensitive. When I go into places, I don't feel anyone. When I don't wear it, I feel everybody's energy. So that really helps me. Removes stagnant energy from a space. I'm sure you guys have been feeling a whole lot lighter and cleaner and better, especially since you guys have been working with everything. Removes blockages in the body, tissue, bones. So this is like alleviating with injuries, inflammation, pain, cancers, disease, tumors, everything. Like anything that is not in harmonic resonance with the highest good of nature and creation, then it's going to bring that into the highest. That's what it just naturally does. The military studied the Tensor Rings in the 90s and tried to see if there's any negative way to use this stuff, and there wasn't. And they like chucked it. So it also can enhance manifestation, dreams, and enchantments. So if you place like a ring under your pillow, especially the 188, which is this one right here, if you guys would like, we can also pass that one around. That is the 1/4 qubits, 188 megahertz empowerments. So that one works on the etheric body, the light body, the subtle bodies, removes programs, beliefs, and it's very astral, like etheric.
Do you have any of those crystals?
Yeah, I've got a few of those. Yeah.
That's for children. Oh, my son.
Yeah, it also decalcifies the pineal gland. It's very, very high energy.
So you just put that under the pillow?
Yeah, when you place that under the pillow, especially
It's
if you
like,
guys are lucid
whoa.
dreamers, it is very, 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 very potent.
How much is it?
Similar
Those
to
ones are
like
30.
stones and crystals, or totally different.
I'm sorry?
I put stones and crystals all the
Is
time.
that, you know, that works too.
But
You
a
put the
different-
crystals in that though, and then
Yeah.
so yeah, not only dreams, like place it under the pillow. Enchantments, so if any of you guys do ritual work or spell work, you can place a ring over anything that you're writing or creating, and that's going to harmonize and clear, like as if you were to use sage or cedar, etc. The same with manifestation, saying like, you know, I want to call in this. When you place a tensor ring over that, it's structuring that matter, which is then going to, the quantum field, right, is going to impact your reality because it's putting so much light into that manifestation. Harmonize anything, kind of like what I was saying earlier. Picture inside or direct device at objects. Okay, picture inside. Sorry, don't know what I was even meaning by that. The direct device at an object, so, you know, say like the phone isn't working, right? You just put a tensor ring, you point it at it, you envision it working better, and then voila, it happens. The same with healing injuries, ailments, pain, tension, disorders, disease, tumors, all of it. Once again, what I was saying, when there's an excess of negativity in the body or stagnation or a weak charge, the tensor ring is going to give it that charge. It's going to energize it, amplify it, harmonize it, and then you go from dis-ease to ease. As I was saying earlier, improved gas mileage. Place a ring over the gas nozzle, boom, 2 to 3 miles per gallon, maybe up to 6, I would say, but definitely improved. You're structuring the gasoline, which is allowing it to work more efficiently with your engine. You may even clean up your engine, but I'm not going to say for sure. But
For
definitely
sure.
improved gas mileage. Increased garden growth. So if you place a tensor ring in the garden bed or near desired plants and stems, they will grow faster, they will produce more crops, like more nutrients, more vegetables or more fruits. If you have a fruit tree or a vegetable that is like lacking or almost dying or is just like weak or limp, you can put a tensor ring by it. It'll structure the atoms in the plant and that will strengthen it, and then it'll be more vital, strong. Alleviate foggy brain, haziness, and amnesia. So like if you have a headache, if you are just unclear, all of those things of the mind, when you're wearing a tensor ring, wipes it away. Balance and cleanse chakras. As you were seeing earlier, you can place a ring over every chakra. You can also do affirmations with that and all the other practices. But the ring in itself, because of that beacon of light and because it's harmonizing matter, it's tuning and refining and balancing wherever you place it. Right. Going into tuning, retune your aura, layers of body, and bring energy into coherency. So we are energetic beings, we're constantly vibrating, our thoughts are vibrations, which is then affecting our field. Having these devices around us can help retune our thoughts, retune our energy body and our emotional body, mental body, all of our bodies really. It's also great for energy workers, body workers, massage, Reiki, acupuncture, chiropractics, and kind of like what you're doing here with the big rings. So like if you do any Reiki work, massage work, having a ring underneath the bed or above, having sacred geometry. If you're doing clearings or removing stagnant energy, you would want a harmonizer, an AccuVac. The feedback coil is good as well. It's probably just faster. it's really like up into your uses, right? Then you also have reduced electric bill. Place the ring over the electric meter, and you'll see your electric bill will be reduced, which is phenomenal. Energetic protection. As I was saying, when you go into stores, you remain sovereign in your own energy. You're not feeling everybody else's thoughts, which is really, really beneficial. Ley line gridding, geopathic clearing, and vortex enhancing. There are, do you guys all know what ley lines are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the meridians of the earth, basically. When you place these on ley lines, it amplifies that ley line, which is amplifying the current, which is also assisting in the collective vibration and ascension. Geopathic clearing, so they're geopathic stress lines. So they're like good energetic ley lines, and there's not so healthy ones. Those are the geopathic stress lines. When you place a tensor ring on the stress line, it clears and harmonizes that stress line. So it's like, it just cuts it and then harmonizes it. So it's actually, it's alchemizing and transmuting that darkness into light.
I wonder what would happen if you brought a bunch of like copper devices into like the war zone type areas. If it would just
Harmonize.
like instantly
They all
kind
start
of,
hugging.
like clear it so much that it would just stop or something.
It would definitely, like, it wouldn't be so physical at first. At first, like, people's thoughts would start changing, then everybody's emotions, and then something would start clicking. Wait, why are we doing this?
Yes.
What's going on here? And slowly but surely, revolution would occur much quicker. That's what Slim Sperling was doing with the harmonizers when he first created them. He gridded all of New York City with them, and he lowered the crime rate by 40%. Traffic accidents. I've also witnessed this and experienced this myself in Gainesville. There was an intersection that every day from 3:30 to 5:30 was the only intersection in all of Gainesville that got like jammed. And because it happened every day, that created a really heavy density and distortion in the field. So I put a harmonizer there, and then within a month, there was never traffic jams there anymore. And I was like, whoa.
Where did you cut it?
I don't remember the name of the street. I think it's 20th Street.
I mean, like how, what
Oh.
size was it and where?
It was the size of, I don't even know where it is. There we go.
Do you just set it down? Where do you put it? Do you bury it?
So luckily, there was a little like river creek right next to it. So I went into the woods and I placed it in the river. And,
Okay.
But if there wasn't a river, yeah, I always bury it into the ground. That way it can connect to the mycelial network and it grids out.
So it
Good
didn't
to
have to
know.
be like in the concrete in the middle of the intersection. It could be
No,
to the
yeah,
side.
near
Intention.
it. Because, one, intention is a big part, and then two, like those have a massive radius, like at least a 5-mile radius. So even if it was down the road, it would still be affecting it, just not as immediately.
In a lake.
And a lake is a really great one. Lakes, ponds, waterways, rivers, springheads, anything that is a body of water, put these devices in. Because
like copper piping was used.
In all the housing.
in the 40s and 50s, and then it was
For
shipped
health.
to iron and steel.
Good.
Our house
Me
has
too. We have
thank
copper
goodness.
pipes.
What was it? Your
Our
house is
house has
copper?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
The benefits of an old house.
That's for some
right?
money.
Yeah. So last few things to kind of get moving.
Okay.
'Cause, time and everything. So it also improves your qigong, meditation, sleep, shavasana. Like we were saying earlier, like sleeping with a ring on your bed or under your pillow can improve your overall quality of sleep, your dreams. Shavasana, I'm sure you guys all know the melting stage. Just overall lightening your body.
So like if you have it under your pillow or something, it's not gonna get like too much energy or.
You may, you may not. It's every person's
we'll
different.
see.
I'm not gonna
I
say.
slept with this.
For
little
me,
ring
I
on.
sleep with the ring under my pillow, and it's not an issue. But I also create this stuff, so I can't say what'll work for you. But for me and every person that I have given it to, their quality of sleep has improved. So I'm just going off of the results. And then as it says, place under bed or pillow for improved dreams and sleep. You can also cleanse objects like crystals, words. Words, yeah. Contracts, energy, literally anything. So.
I pass money through it, so then it comes back to me. It doesn't go back to the treasury because it's programmed to go back to the treasury through the magnetic strip.
I like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that's a new one for me.
Go girl.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've primarily done it with words, contracts, and crystals. Energy too. Crystals, I do sun charge and moon charge sometimes, but like before my sessions, in between those moon cycles or sun cycles, just clear with the Tensor Ring. It harmonizes it to that frequency as well. So like, I have my own crystal grid set that I use for healing, and then say someone's wanting to more work on their emotional and mental body, I would put the emotional and mental body, the 177, on all those crystals, so that's more geared towards the emotional and mental. If they were more working on like healing their pain or their body, physical, all right, now we're going to put everything to physical. So you can change the frequency and the signature of crystals with the rings.
Now, what if you wanted to write an intention on a piece of paper? Like I have one in that
Generator.
Is that?
The generator is phenomenal.
So would you just leave it in there? Or?
You can leave it in there.
I whisper mine into it. I tell it what I want it to do.
Yeah, like it's that goes into your intention and your magic. That's like what way is best for you to connect to it. You know, for me, I like to work a lot with the fire, so I will place it over, like I'll place a Tensor Ring or a harmonizer over it, like manifestations or words, spells, whatever, and then I burn in the fire. But that's because I work a lot with the fire, so that's my magic. And then the last one, improve your life in every way. Seriously, there isn't a bad way to use it. The military has already tried.
I like that.
Yeah, that's really like
cool.
Infinite, like boundless. Now this, everybody wants to take a picture of. This is the list of materials you need for creation. Screenshot. No. You need a millimeter stick. I work with millimeter because fractions of inches is just not as accurate as millimeters. Like it gets really small. T4000 or T8000 torch and tank. I guess I could go over all of this.
Yeah, you could do that in the room.
Yeah. But this is all that you guys need.
Okay.
Take pictures and let's get going.
Did you guys
And
get a
slow
picture?
down a little bit more, or scroll a little bit more.
Are you gonna share the?
No, let's sell it.
Oh, wait.
Are you
Okay.
gonna share the slides with us? Or?
Yeah. I can share that. If you guys.
Wait, say
feel
it
like
again.
Let's create.
Yes.
It's amazing. And it was like $40, so you can't complain.
Really?
Yeah, it's like you would probably spend more on a battery corded. Okay, so because I've already doused this spool, I know that this is a positive end, but it doesn't really matter at this point. It's just me sharing it. I'm gonna do this as an example for you guys, so you guys get the whole process. But everybody has their drill piece inside already. So this is the positive end, and this is the negative end. What we're gonna do, we're gonna take the two ends together. We're gonna find that center point. About right here. So if you get now, right, energy is flowing like down this and then up there. Does that make sense, everybody? So that's what's giving you that 0 point effect. So now that we have the middle point, we're going to use this as our little post. This stuff will get you really creative with your environment. Normally, I just dig a 3/4 inch pipe into the ground. I'll just hammer it in, and then it'll have an opening, which will allow me to use that hook. And you bring it together really nice and tight. Put this down. Bring up the drill.
5-5.
It's 555.
Woo! Spinning time.
And the circuit went at 444.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Welcome to Soul School.
Just some, some flying high.
With some low rainbows, which are really high.
Which is really high. So when you place this into a drill, sometimes when you put the wire in by itself, one wire will be tight and the other one will be loose. Luckily both are tight right now. But to also make it easier for you guys, you can take the ends and you can bend it over itself. When you do that, it ensures that it's not going to come out of the drill. Does that make sense, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody seeing that? Basically just grab the ends and I hooked it. Yep. And that just makes it like really easy for the drill to catch it. Once it's in there, you don't have to worry about it slipping.
And that drill's called what?
This is a 9 amp corded drill. You can get it at Harbor Freight. I think it's 40 or 45 bucks, something like that. Highly recommend it.
Do we
Chicago
have
Electric.
that?
Chicago Electric.
Say, go get one.
Yep. And then, so right here, we have the port that you slide into here. You just tighten it. If you'd like, I'm gonna just start it so that way we have a really nice beginning, and then if everybody would like, they can put a little bit of their energy and prayers into it. Yeah?
Yes.
Everybody would like to do that? That may not happen.
It's going to be spirit led.
Probably, yeah.
Let's try this now. So I like to always reaffirm my previous affirmations, manifestations, goal activations, affirmations, intentions, and prayers. And then I always stack on top. And I do that just because I say a lot and I want to save myself from repeating myself. And of course we get a cleansing. So as you see, it just tightens, tightens, and tightens. So I want everybody to come over here and each person for maybe like 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds, just lightly trigger it. Because this is a very short piece, so it's going to get tight quickly. Does that make sense?
I'll just observe.
Okay. And also what helps is keeping the tension, because if you like loosen it, it'll start warping the wire.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. You can. I love it.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Yep, that's good.
Okay. So where it's at right now is where I would normally stop it if I was gonna make a double twist, but this is, actually let's do that real quick, just for fun. We're gonna make a double twist, so you guys also learn how to make that. That'll be pretty short, but.
What's your step? This is so cool.
What I've normally, actually I'll just let it do this, so. It's better to do that. So as I was saying, like it's really important to have the tension, right, when you're drilling. When you do the double twist, it's
really, really important because you are, one, creating so much tension together in the field. Any slack in that tension, it's gonna knock because that's you're really gathering energy together. Now we're gonna bring this together. 0 point.
Amount of copper. So if you guys would like, you guys can make a crown, you guys could make a bracelet, or a smaller ring like the pendants. It's all really up to you guys to decide. And with you deciding that, we'll determine how far on the meter stick you guys cut, basically. The pendant would be 13.1 centimeters, which is 131 millimeters. The bracelet is 26.2. It's double that size. 26.2 centimeters, 262 millimeters, and a full cubit is 52.4 for 524. Would you guys like to make
like a crown?
Yeah. And the crown is, I actually do a 1 1/8 for larger heads, and then I have, this is the 52.4. It's pretty small, but see if that's your head size. No, you don't want to bend it yet. No. Okay, so for me, I'm going to do a bracelet. It's 26.2. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the measurements and we're going to leave about 3 to 4 millimeters extra. Then we're going to cut it. We leave a little extra because we need to file it down to be flat. That way when it connects, so when you cut it, it looks like a little, it's not smooth, it's not a flush cut. Right? You see that? You see that? So we're going to use a file, and you get a rulers too? Okay.
So we can make
You could do that.
Probably make 2
20.6
bracelets.
would be
millimeters.
10.3. Oh, it's got millimeters?
So we can make more
Even
than
better.
one thing out of our piece.
Yeah, if you can, please, like, by all means, please do. Is it okay to file onto here, or should we? Yeah. Okay, so if she left, so I have a little table to do. So for the meantime, because I already cut mine, you guys can cut yours.
Okay.
You guys can just tell me what you want to use, and then I'll tell you the
A
size.
crown.
So you want a crown, and you want that size fits you best. So that's 58.95. So you're gonna want to cut about 591.92.
Okay.
So you hold it here on the end.
Mhm.
What I do is I hold it on the off side of it. That way it's flush up against it.
Okay.
589.5. So about right here. And then cutters. You want to put your finger on that line? Yep. And then with your other hand. Okay. What was it? I'm sorry. For you, are you wanting a crown for her?
I want to be one too, but she's doing it.
For you? So you're gonna want 52.4. So we're gonna.
I always worked ahead in school, I apologize.
No, it's okay. We're all like, you know.
Eager and excited.
That's
and
all
the
good.
stuff.
So you want about
Bracelet
526.
and a crown.
Okay.
And then flat, like try to have this flush. And then double check. You see right there? You see right there? Okay,
It's a little more, right? Or is it?
okay, so about right there.
And then you
So what I do, take that off first. So what I do is I'll grab my hand right here.
and then go on it.
And then take that and then. So you want it right up against your fingernail.
Right there.
There you go. And then from there, you have a little bit over. Yep. So now you're going to take a file and file those flat, both sides.
File it.
I want to make a bracelet and whatever size crown is left over after that.
Okay, I would.
That one on her head, which is 91.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's see if that size is good for you or if you want the larger. Probably want the larger. And how does that feel for you?
Well, do it like this.
Much better?
Put your hand
I
real
mean, if
close
you like
to
the
it.
smaller, you can do the smaller one. Yeah.
But
You put your hand a little
Oh,
closer
you
to
have.
it.
We'll see. If not, I mean, I have extra, so it's okay.
Yeah, like this.
Just put your hand as close to it as possible.
Okay, so
You won't hurt your
I
hand.
want
Yeah.
something like more at home and then something like
To travel.
Feel good for you? Or does it
So
feel-
you're gonna
feels kinda
want,
weird
you want the
that
smaller one or the larger?
feels
The
too
crown?
small?
The larger?
Yeah.
Okay, so $58.95, about right here.
Nice to meet you, Amy. Did you guys
Yeah.
So
But I've been here.
$58.95 is right before $590, right? It's $589 and then, or
Going to meetings and different things.
$589 and then $25. So it's like half a million. Yeah, exactly. So you're gonna want to cut a little bit over that,
I guess.
and that way you can file it down.
2.7.
So now you put your finger, just like that.
Well,
You
that's
see how your
fine.
nail isn't up against the ruler? You want it on the, there you go. And then you pick it up, and then you put your nail
This is
next to that
59.
nail, so it's like
I'm gonna
this.
put this. It's
There
gonna be
you
a
go,
crown,
yeah.
but it's also gonna go over the
There, and then go this now.
electric meter.
Signed up for both processes right
Cut it right on that. Now that everybody's measurement is precise, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our measurement, and what I do is I start from one end, and I just slowly start making a bend in it. What you try to do is you try to make the bend angle the same and the distance between each bend that you make the same.
Like an inchworm.
And so when you get to the other end, you'll realize that like, oh, it wasn't fully done. And then you look at it and you kind of just start making micro adjustments again. That's what this work is. It's like you do one layer, then you step back, reflect, go another layer, step back, reflect. So like as you guys can see, even this is kind of starting to, it isn't fully there. Also, it's like this one is off on this side. And if it's, no, you're good. It's not like the music.
I'm enjoying the music.
It may be beneficial for you guys to use pliers to help, like in the micro angles. I always use them. My hands already get cut up enough from the stuff.
Is this okay? And then once it's soldered, I can.
No, so you want it to basically like the. How do I say this? You really want this ring to naturally fit into itself. If that makes sense. So, like if you lay it on
ever
the.
hold it like it would be sealed together and then work your way around?
Could, but I've done that, and as soon as I let go, you realize there's still parts that you gotta. So, like, for example, with yours, right? Right here to here, you see how it starts lifting up? So, from where it starts lifting up, you wanna bring it down. And then, oh, it's lifting up a little bit there. Okay. Boom. Check this side now. Okay, it's lifting up right here. Flatten that. Are you checking your measurements in between? Shaw?
Not really cutting too much of it.
It all starts somewhere, right?
It's okay, I also went through that where she just kept on filing and nothing.
The pencil or marker.
Okay.
You filed through it?
It was just, I was in a 0 point and I was in a still point in the reality, and so I was just kept going and going, nothing's happening.
You filed down like 5 millimeters of that.
Another dimension, or another parallel
Oh,
reality I did, but this one we were just here because we're
Okay, you see
mirroring
that?
and
See how I got it there for a second?
But I had to push forward just
like
a little bit.
resting
So,
in it
okay,
now.
now we're actually going to the next one. And I stepped through the wormhole.
That's basically what you wanted to do.
Dude, I love you.
Is to
It's
get
actually going down.
it's so flush
Oh my
and
gosh.
so
Oh, she
aligned
never
with itself
stopped.
that
She got to the 0 point energy
She
with this
never
thing.
stops.
I knew it. I knew this could generate.
So it's done now?
basically for this step, I'm gonna let everybody get their ring ready, and then we're gonna all do the
How's this one
demonstration.
look?
Here, lay it. No.
So it has to, when we lay it.
So, may I, real quick, with this one? So, boom.
Ooh.
That's
Wow.
I'm getting close.
Incredible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or is it too
Yeah.
long? Okay.
So, once you start getting close, it's like the micro adjustments. So, like, you look at it and you see this ring, you see how about right here it starts lifting up?
Yeah.
And then it lifts up?
Yeah.
So that's throwing off the entire proportion of it, right? So, okay, I need to lower that. And then I look at it on the table and okay, it starts lifting here. And you move it down a little more. Am I being clear with this? I mean,
Yeah, that makes it.
Okay.
Show me that.
Flip it over. Here. You want me to do it fast? So I always like to have the smoke going as I'm creating. It's just constantly clearing the ether, and it's also really amplifying my prayer and my connection to the spirit realm, to the ethers. It's carrying out my prayers. It's like offering tobacco as well. And so I'm creating a 144 megahertz qubit. So I'm going to invoke that etheric template, calling in the resonance and the frequency of 144 megahertz. Thank you. The royal sacred qubits. And I'm also calling in healing for the environment, healing for our waters, healing for toxic mana, activating our Telstar DNA, cleansing all of our layers of our body, our etheric template. Move that over just a little bit. And heading on to Earth, gotta be down in the matrix. So it is.
So it is.
And then I always dump it in water after, pull it down. And a new toroidal field, a beacon of light is now created. It's very aesthetic and like unique. Like it'll never, no two will ever have the same color, same design, pattern. There we go. And then do you see that too? How it like went in together? Yeah. And then from there you can shape it to your desired length. It feels nice. Sasha's about to do her stuff. Okay, so I want you to first practice the brushing effect. You hear like it's too much. I want to hear it. Barely hear it. Kind of like just lightly touch it. Like you don't want to put pressure on it. You just want to like, yeah, you got it. You're natural. You want to do this part too, or you want me to heat it up?
You got it.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So many variables. So many parts. Gotta be present. Okay. I'll let you know.
Divine blessings, open up the holy divine destiny for all of humanity. May this come
So it is.
So it is. So it is. So it is. Sunukai mo isagai.
Do it fully. Closer.
Can I move a little bit? How do you know when it's ready?
You'll see the color change.
To red?
It'll be like a glowing orange, white.
Yeah,
so
starting here.
that's there, exactly. So you wanna step that back and kind of put that more above right
Just
there.
where you want it. Yeah. Alright, that's good.
And then, yep, right now. Good. Keep the flame on it, but the piece away.
You can feel like the electron, like an attraction. It feels like a magnet. Yeah, there you go. There you beautiful.
Okay, I'm gonna take the torch off.
Okay. I feel like we can do more. What do you think? Or is it?
That's it.
Let's melt it in. Alright.
Like,
Come here,
all
baby.
you want is that starting point.
We gotta give this baby a name. She will tell us what her name is.
Now, one thing, let me show you what that